Hey guys, welcome to the show. How we doing today? Well, today I want to talk about this album right here, Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time. This is the sixth studio record from Iron Maiden. It's got a cool cover on it, of course. This one here is a 2014 180 gram repress. It's in perfect condition still, honestly. I've only picked this up about 6 months ago, and it was in my local record store. Of course, I've loved this album since day one. Had it on cassette, multiple times, and when I was a teenager, and then CDs later or whatever. Finally got a copy on vinyl. There's the inner sleeve. On one side has lyrics, and the other side of the inner sleeve, and this is a pretty solid, hard, glossy type photo. There's the band at its time. The record itself, like I said, I've only had this for about 6 months, so it's still, heavy, 180 grams. Got the cool Eddie on the inside of it. This is a freaking great album. That's all I got to say about it. Oh, well, it's not all I have to say. I have a lot more to say about it. Apparently, this is a cool cover. Somewhere in Time. This is Maiden in their heyday, essentially. But apparently, this cover, if you look at this cover, you can find things from other Maiden albums. The artwork, when I was reading about it, it incorporates a whole bunch of stuff from different records and different albums on there. If you look down here between Eddie's legs, you'll see a drawing that looks like it could be the original Iron Maiden. Down there, we have all kinds of different things that are basically making nods to the other Maiden albums. And you look in the back, of course, there's Power Slave right there. There's Icarus from there. There's different things down here that say things like Live After Death. There's the drawing of the band today. You look over here, you can see other things, that'll give you hints to different songs, Aces High Bar, things like that, that all match up together. The address over here says Acacia Avenue. So, it's kind of a little homage to everything else they've done. And what can you say about this album? This is probably one of the best albums. It's got Caught Somewhere in Time and Wasted Years, Sea of Madness, and Heaven Can Wait on side one. Those 4 songs right there, I mean, it's like the fucking perfect side. Then you get The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, Stranger in a Strange Land, Deja Vu, and Alexander the Great. It's a fucking great album. Great tracks. It's like perfect all the way through. What I did notice on this when I'm looking at writing credits is no Bruce Dickinson writing credits at all basically written by Dave Murray, Adrian Smith, and Steve Harris. God, I almost escaped my brain there. But this is them at their heyday. It's one of the best Maiden albums. The more I see out in the online community, people talking about it, it tends to be a favorite of people. This is one right after Power Slave and right before Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. And it is one of their best albums. My favorite Maiden album has always been Peace of Mind. But this one, as I hear this more and more, as I've gotten older, because I've heard this album, like I said, we had copies of this. Maiden was huge when this came out. This originally came out in 1986. Like I said, that's a 2014 repress that I have. Made in EU, by the way. You can get this on Discogs, $30 to $40, regular price for a brand new record. They're not hard to find. I don't know what the OG ones would cost. I was reading about pressings. This one's a little flat. It's mixed well, but you got to turn up the volume on your receiver in order to actually hear it as loud as you were listening to your previous record or whatever. It's like you got to turn it up a little bit because the audio output isn't quite high enough. But the mix is still good. There's a lot of complaints on the internet about this pressing and saying, oh, during this song, it sounds like this, and you can hear warble and all this stuff. I didn't hear any of that on mine. So I don't know if that's just maybe they have better equipment than I have, and they're hearing shit I'm not hearing, or my old ass ears aren't hearing it or something. But this album is fucking killer. It's got, I mean, like I said, that side one is unbelievable. You know, Somewhere in Time, Waste of Years, Sea of Madness, Heaven Can Wait. You know, and Maiden to me has always been one of those bands. I first discovered Maiden, you know, it was the 80s and we had videos for Power Slave or not Power Slave, you know, Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight. And of course, you know, the earlier videos were being played on MTV while I was in high school in the 80s. I became a big fan of Maiden. I went and saw them live back in like 84. Yeah, I was like 15 years old. And we went to this Maiden show, and Twisted Sister was the opening act. And that was one of the main reasons me and my buddies went, because we were big, huge Twisted Sister fans. You know, we loved the Stay Hungry album and You Can't Stop Rock and Roll that. So we go to this show. Basically, we want to see Twisted Sister again, because the previous show we went to was a Twisted Sister show as a headlining act. So we wanted to go see them, and they were an opening act. And we all know who Maiden was, and Maiden was cool. We were kind of listening to him, but we weren't huge fans. But that was a Power Slave tour. So, of course, that big giant ass tour, I'd never seen anything like it being 15 years old. I became a huge Maiden fan right after that. And to me, Maiden is the best when it comes to the new wave of British heavy metal music. You know, that era of music that was coming out from that is, you know, them and Priest and Leopard and Motorhead and these other new wave of British heavy metal bands. I think Maiden is top tier, the best ones from that era, from that genre that we call new wave of British heavy metal. I've always loved Steve Harris's bass and, you know, how he drives that band. I think it might be one of the only bands out there where the bass is the lead player compared to like guitar work or whatever. And of course, this is Bruce Dickinson's vocals at their peak. I saw them on this tour also. I want to say Anthrax was the opening act when I saw this tour. That could have been the Seventh Son tour. I don't remember. I saw them on all those tours back then. I've seen Maiden more times than I can remember, honestly. But they're fucking great. And this album is killer. This album is definitely going to be worth your 30 or 40 bucks. This is probably the best Maiden album of that era, of the Bruce Dickinson era. And of course, when you talk Maiden, it's like talking about Kiss or anything else. Everybody has their own opinion as to which one's great. You know, Dickinson versus Di'Anno and all that bullshit. To me, there's no comparison that Bruce Dickinson is the far superior singer. Those first two Maiden albums of Paul Di'Anno, you got to put those off on their side. That style was slightly different, and those albums are fucking great. And I love those records also. And I love all of these records, but I'm not like one of those Maiden fans that continued on after time. I kind of tuned out as the 90s came around, and their newest album, Shinzetsu, is a pretty good record, but it doesn't grab me like something like this one did, or like Number of the Beast or Peace of Mind or any of those records did back in the day. So, you know, this is the era for me. This one, Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son, you know, that whole early Dickinson era when he first came to the band, those four albums that he put out, those four albums, when you start with Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Somewhere in Time, and Seventh Son, are a great 4-record stretch that I don't know if they can be beat at all, honestly. So, yeah, pick it up, honestly. I mean, this is a band in their prime. And like I said, they are probably one of the best who have ever done it. And they're still out there killing it to this day. And they still sound awesome. So, like I said, this is a 14 repress you can find out there. I'm not sure what an original would cost you. Probably a whole lot more than the 30 bucks that you could get this one for at your local record store. Like I said, I looked it up online. They were talking about how it sounds like this, like it was muddled or different things like that. I didn't quite catch all that. You just got to turn it up a little bit. Unless you're a super audiophile who want perfect sound, you can go ahead and pick up this repress for $30 and you won't be disappointed. All right, well, that's pretty much it for me. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget Seventh Son or Somewhere in Time, 5 stars. I mean, this album is 5 stars. It always has been. It's killer all the way through and through. All right, thanks again, guys. We will talk to y'all later.